Hi everyone, it's Suze coming at you live from I'm not sure what day of quarantine. I miss you all. I've nearly run out of snacks, but you know what? The sun is shining. We're gonna have a great day. Let's get started. So we are going to be diving back into Jonah one more time. We are on the last chapter, chapter number 4. If you want to pull out your Bibles and sit here with me, that's great. Let's do it. We've seen a lot happen in this book so far. We've seen Jonah run away from God, get on a ship, get thrown overboard because of a storm that he caused, then get saved by a big fish, and then come back to land, and then go to Nineveh and preach the shortest sermon ever, tell them they're going to be destroyed. And then plot twist, Nineveh decides to return to God. And so this rebellious people has come back to God. And that's where chapter 4 starts, with Jonah watching them turn and watching them receive grace from God. And he is not happy about it. He just doesn't think they deserve any kind of grace from the Lord. And he's angry with God. So he goes a little bit outside the city and he's watching it and he's stewing in his frustration. And God sends a plant to grow up next to him. And so he gets a little plant, gets some shade in the desert, and he enjoys it and he rests in it. And then the next day, God sends a worm, and the worm chews in the plant, and the plant dies. Jonah loses his shade, and he loses his calm yet again. He's so mad, and he doesn't want to live anymore because God is giving grace to people he doesn't think deserve it, and he's taking away shade from his servant Jonah, and just he's so mad. And God calls him on it, and he goes, Jonah, like, look, you had this plant for a little bit. You didn't create it. You didn't even do anything for it. And yet you're so mad to lose it and you think you deserve it. And yet there are 120,000 people down there and their animals. And I made them. And they are my creations. And you don't want me to save them because you think you have this other perspective of righteousness. That's just it's not how things work. And so the book ends there. The book ends with God challenging Jonah's perspective and Jonah's self-righteousness throughout this whole thing. So we've seen Jonah rebel, and we've seen him judge those who have been rebelling. And if this sounds familiar, you can turn to Luke 15 in the New Testament and remember the story of the prodigal son and how one son rebels and then comes back and is forgiven and reestablished by the father, and one son judges that son for rebelling and doesn't think he deserves the grace when he comes back, or doesn't want to give it to him. Jonah does a little bit of both throughout his story, just like we do both throughout our lives. We both sometimes just want to test the boundaries or capacity of God's love and find our own ways in the world, and then sometimes we see other people doing that and think we know better than they do. And those are both just such wonky perspectives, but thank God that's not where he leaves us. And despite the fact that Jonah would rather die than watch his enemies be saved, Christ gave up his precious life with God to save every single person, despite their sinful natures. So I think this story is just really powerful for forcing us to examine what we think we're entitled to, what we think that other people are entitled to, and how we need to surrender all of that to the Lord. One of the best things that Jonah does throughout his account is that he does openly come to God and communicate with him and honestly express his anger and where his heart is. And that's really the only place we can start. That's where confession starts. So the thing we can learn from Jonah as a person is that, we can just be honest before God. He can take it, and he's going to show us where our hearts need to be and redirect our efforts and our energies. So when we come before God and open up our hearts to him, he will show us where we're running away. He will show us where we're judging someone else who might be running away. And he will redirect our mindsets, and if we ask him to. So I just encourage all of us to be aware, to confess our mindsets to God, and to ask for help in loving everyone around us. With God's strength and his spirit filling us, he can guide us to live at peace. And that's all I've got for today. And can't wait to see some of you in Connect groups this week. Let's go 8th grade girls. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.